You are listening to the Holistic Hormone Podcast. I'm your host, Eleanor Dooley, and if you're seeking a deeper understanding of your body's inner workings, the reasons behind its actions and reactions, and you suspect that your hormones might be at play, you are in the right place, my friend. As a functional medicine nutritionist specializing in holistic hormone health for women, I bring together the latest research, my clinical expertise, and my own personal experiences to create a safe space for you to learn and explore. Just remember, this podcast provides information and inspiration for you, not medical diagnoses or treatments. Always consult your own doctor before making any changes. Now, are you ready to dive in? Let's get started. Hi, everybody. It's Eleanor Dooley, your holistic hormone and gut specialist. And today I want to address a topic that I've been thinking about a lot lately, and that was the weight loss injections. If you have been plugged into, society and TV and online. I don't know if you've been bombarded with advertisements on Facebook and Instagram, or if those just come up for me because I'm in the holistic health field, but they are everywhere. And even the other night, there was an Oprah special. If you haven't seen it, you can go back and find it. I think it was on ABC, where she explores, like she interviewed some doctors, she interviewed some people from Weight Watchers, which she had a business parting with apparently or something. But it really got me thinking, because hearing the stories of the people that they interviewed on the show, it really pulls at those heartstrings of people that are really struggling with obesity and not finding any way to deal with it, even when they've tried all of the things that, diet culture has told us, doctors have told us, even holistic practitioners like me, creating plans and protocols for people do not work for every person. It really got me thinking about how this is a choice for people that, have enough financial resources for it to be available for. But it's even extending to children now. There were, on this particular episode of the Oprah show, they interviewed a mom of a young girl. I think she's a teenager now, but just had been overweight her whole life. And it appeared from the story that it wasn't necessarily because she lived an unhealthy lifestyle. We traditionally have been trained to think that people that are obese are lazy, or they don't care about the way they look, and they have no self-control or willpower. And it really kind of stuck with me, because I don't believe that to be true. I believe that everybody has their own amount of willpower and can use it or not use it, or it has nothing to do with obsessions with food and thinking about food and intake of food. And I think it leans more into potentially the mental health space, as well as eating disorders and things that aren't necessarily about food, but it's about the way that the mind and the brain create these cravings for food and the need for food and the constant necessitation of having this comfort, whether it's, comfort from a person, whether it's comfort from food, which is, as babies, our very first taste of comfort comes, from a parent giving us food. So it makes sense to me that these cravings, whether they're for drugs or alcohol or things that are addictive, like online shopping, or, these things that we're addicted to, give us comfort in some way. And if an alcoholic can be separated from alcohol, meaning they can just absolutely abstain. If they're able to not be in places where it's served, they don't buy it, they're not around it, it potentially creates an easier opportunity for them to say no to it. Now, I'm not downplaying the alcoholism at all. It's definitely, it takes a lot of strength and courage and support to continually stay sober. But if we're relating disordered eating to an addiction, potentially a food addiction, the part that comes into play that's a little bit a little bit hard to kind of dissect is that we all still need food. So like an alcoholic can just not drink. Well, a foodaholic cannot just not eat, right? It has to be a part of their everyday life. They have to deal with it constantly, every moment of every day. And so it becoming more of a psychological issue and not just about the actual caloric intake. And I think that's the piece that we've kind of been picking at this scab in the last decade of uncovering the real things about mental health and the real connections to our behavioral health. Whereas in years past, doctors and diet culture was just really saying that people that were overweight just needed to lose weight. They just needed to be better. They just needed to work out harder. They just needed to eat less. And those were really the only tools that people were given to try to get a handle on their metabolic health. And I think the reflection on that for me has really been interesting to kind of put together, because as a functional nutritionist, that's what I got my master's degree in. I'm taught about the biology of the body and how the body uses food and uses nutrients and how it breaks them down and uses amino acids for muscle development and all of the functions in the body. And so when we look at the way that these new drugs initially were for diabetics to get a handle on their insulin and their A1C, which is their level of sugar in their blood and how that affects the metabolic systems in their body, I just really want to dig deeper and go, okay, well, these drugs are working, because you see all these people on Oprah that have lost, tens and hundreds of pounds. And even Oprah herself, she says, with a lifestyle of, balanced nutrition and exercise and proper sleep and basically all of the things that, create a calming nervous system and so forth. And it's Oprah, so she has a lot more resources than everybody else. She's, kind of living a happy existence with her relationship with food. And I applaud her for that. Like, I think she's been on a lifelong search. If you follow her career, even when I was a child, her weight loss up and down and her dieting story and her even recount of, I starved myself for 5 months and I lost all this weight. And then the second the show was over, I started regaining it because I could not control myself around food. Like, I just had this mental connection to the compulsion to eat. And I'm paraphrasing. Please go and watch the episode. I don't want to, put words in her mouth, but that's how I interpreted it. And that kind of pulled at me a little bit because, with somebody that has all of the resources in all of the world, she only just came into her own in this past year by using these weight loss injection drugs. So I take a step back and think to myself, well, if somebody like her can't get it figured out without these drugs, because she can hire all of the functional nutritionists that she wants. She can hire the chefs that she wants. She can hire, and so she has all the resources. And so to me, it kind of put me in this little box of going, well, maybe these drugs have merit for for some people. And when I kind of opened the door to that and to get myself to kind of look at it from that perspective, I really just needed to kind of talk about it, because looking up what that injection actually does to the body is the part that I don't think that we're talking about. And that's the part when I'm like, okay, got it, understand obesity and metabolic health. And, let's face it, the way that we look and the way that we feel in our bodies and the clothes that we're wearing, all is a priority for us. And is it more of a priority than our overall health and the longevity of us living in this body? And that's the part that I think is an individual decision and is not to be judged by everybody else, including me. And that's what I wanted to come on here and say is, if that works for you and you have the resources to do it and you understand what it is doing in your body, then it is completely your decision to make. What I want to say is that those injections, what people are saying about them, Oprah included, is that I don't feel hungry anymore. And by not feeling hungry, they eat considerably less, and they're not having this mental reoccurring obsession about thinking about food. And if this injection gives that to them, which Oprah herself has been seeking for probably 60 years, then perhaps that's the answer for her, right? But those injections actually paralyze the stomach in a sense. And by doing that, it slows the body's ability to absorb essential nutrients. So by not feeling basically hungry, we're kind of paralyzing the parts of the stomach that tell us that we're full. And when we do that, it kind of, tells our brain that we don't need food. So we're not thinking about it. But it also stops the body from absorbing these nutrients. And essentially over time, what's happening is slow starvation. Okay. And if we're not careful, I'm thinking of an average person on these medications for life, every single day for the rest of their life, they're essentially slowly starving themselves. And when you do that, the body needs those nutrients to think, right? But more importantly, the body needs those nutrients to be able to fight off disease. Okay. Think about your immunity, your immune system, and the things that are required to be in your body for those systems to work well. Bone health, you need calcium and vitamin D daily, or it's going to slowly weaken the bones. You see some older people getting risk of fractures. If they fall down, they actually break bones. The body's not designed to do that. It's just slow nutrient deficiency over time. I talked about immune function when we're talking about vitamins A, C, E, zinc, selenium, all of these minerals that support our thyroid and they support the systems that are needed to function well for us to stay healthy. They're not getting what they need. So what we end up seeing, and I think this trend started back when gastric bypass was kind of the rage for weight loss. And, I'm dating myself, maybe 15, 20 years ago. That's kind of what everybody was jumping on because, oh, okay, well, if you can just shrink my stomach, I won't eat so much. And a lot of those people, even personal people in my life that I've just watched their transition, end up in the same place as far as weight several years later, but with an impaired digestive system, meaning they're not absorbing nutrients well. They have multiple gastric issues, whether it's constant diarrhea, they can't digest food properly, they have bloating and gas, and just things that can be corrected if you have all of the parts of your organs and they're all working well. But when we use these injections, we're paralyzing the parts that are doing the heavy lifting. So guess what I'm saying is the price of not having an appetite is slowly starving. And also we can see declines in cognitive function. When we're talking about starvation, the thing that usually wears away is, the omega-3 fatty acids, if you're not getting those, the B vitamins, the things that encourage your brain health. Those fatty tissues need those nutrients, and deficiencies affect memory, concentration, and even those neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and dementia. Those can be traced back to deficiencies in healthy fats and brain development. And the other piece is kind of what I touched on at the beginning, was the mental health piece of this. And if a person is truly dealing with whatever the issue is, the compulsion issue, whether it's binge eating, whether it's anorexia, whether it's disordered eating, or it's just an obsession with food. The way that Oprah described it was that she, constantly thought about food. Even when she was currently eating, she would be thinking about the next thing that she was eating. It was just a constant barrage. And to me, I'm sure because she has all access to all resources, that she had therapy about this and went through different, ways to try to deal with this. And so what I want to kind of wrap this up is saying, everybody gets their own choice because everybody has their own body. And, as a functional nutritionist, I feel that there are certain things that we can try before we do something a little bit more permanent. And it just doesn't seem to me that, slow starvation and not having an exit strategy, meaning you're never done. You're always going to consistently be in a slow starvation. To me, it's problematic, fundamentally. But again, I get to choose for me. That's really the only person that I get to choose this choice for. And I want to encourage you, if you felt some kind of way, either way, to just explore the other side and think about, everybody has their own priority and it might not be the same as yours. So thank you for listening. And if you have comments on this, I would really love to hear from you. You can email me at eleanor@eleanordooley.com. You can always check out my website, eleanordooley.com. And if you want to talk further about functional health, functional nutrition, I do hormone testing, I do gut testing, and I have several programs that really were written to be personalized to you and your health. So if you struggle with these kinds of ideas, I would really love to have a free 20-minute call with me and get on my calendar. And I would really love to hear from you. I hope you have a great day. Bye. Thank you for tuning in to the Holistic Hormone Podcast. I appreciate you being a part of our community, and I hope you found today's episode truly valuable. If this podcast meant something to you and you'd like to show your support, please consider leaving me a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Your reviews help others discover this valuable information. Don't forget to stay connected with me on social media. You can always find me on Instagram at holistic.hormone.specialist, where I share insights, tips, and updates to keep you informed and inspired. And if you're interested in exploring my latest programs and resources, head over to nourishingnutrition.net to see what's new and how you can further your journey to holistic hormone health. Once again, thanks for being part of this podcast family. Your health and well-being matter, and I'm here to support you every step of the way. Until next time, take care and stay hormonally balanced.